Good evening. Can we hear me? Good evening, everybody. No one can hear me yet. Good evening. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Success. Good evening, sir. How are you today? How are you today? Okay. All right. Good to be back. Okay. Happy last day of the month, too. I see. Okay, so just a second, my screen will be up and then we can shoot. Yeah, not bad. Thank you. Thanks for asking. All right, so we're welcome to today's session. What session is it today? What session is it today? Today will probably be the 6th, if I'm correct. Share screen, share, 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 share. All right, so we're welcome. We're welcome. We're welcome, everybody. I think I'm sharing my screen now. You can confirm if you can see it at your end, and so that we can shoot into this. So in the last class, we've gone fifth session. Somebody said fifth. Is it fifth? Okay, yeah. True. I'm already thinking today to be the last session for the week. Okay, and interestingly, there is holiday tomorrow. So maybe you should get an assignment. Yeah, anyone wants assignment? Anybody who wants assignment here? Is day 5? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you are correct. Function 4. What does function 4 mean? Are you referencing the file that we're going to use? From Mars, Precious. Okay. How is it at Mars today? No, sir. Okay. You don't want assignment, Precious. Precious does not want assignment. Why? You have an appointment for tomorrow. You want to visit a mechanic workshop. Bring it on. Okay. Let's see how it goes. All right, so far we've learned quite a bit. We've explored a number of things. Apologies again for what happened the last session. It was just mysterious. Well, it wasn't planned that way, but again, what do we do? So, and I hope that you learned some things in the last session as well. As we normally would do, I want everyone to go to the chat and you type something you've gained this week. Just type something you've gained this week from what you've covered this week. I know in the last session we went through the if function, which was what I was supposed to also take you guys through. And yeah, so just go to the chat. Let me see what you remember from the last session, everybody. No assignment. Chima, you don't want assignment, eh? Go to the chat, everybody, quickly. You can play around with formulas. Super. Esther is going to the mechanic workshop. All right. My regards to Mr. Mechanic. You learned the if function, the and function. the if. Super. If function allows for testing for 2 or more conditions. Super. That's nesting of function. What is wrong with nesting of functions? Apologies accepted. Thank you, Success. Being strict with a condition. Okay, good. How to use the or and. All right, as a data analyst, you can't do without if and or. Good. Okay, the screen is not clear. I know you might not be. So you just hold on for the moment. The function will return true. Okay, I didn't get the last class file till now. I know why. We sent the actual file that you were supposed to use, but because of what happened, we had to quickly change the file, and so we can run the class. Nesting with if and or. Cool. If is tool or parameter to solve problem. If is a tool. Okay. If function is an Excel, okay. All right, the Audi. Somebody said the Audi. I don't know what that is. Okay. Well done, everybody. Well done again, everybody. Let me just add to slightly to what Femi would have taught you. I was on the call at some point. Again, it rained, so it was just all a mess. So, but I will just try to see maybe whatever I will say now might be what Femi had said in the last class, which is excellent. But in case he was not able to cover some of the points that I'm going to talk about now, that is still super. So, which means you would have something to hold on to. Why would you want to use the if, the or, the and, the ifs, the switch? Why would you want to use those functions? Essentially, is that there are times that in your data analysis journey, you want to analyze the data set. You have what you have, but you need something else that you do not have. Let me take that again. When you are to work on a data set, you have what you have, but you need something else that you do not have. And so you need a workaround to generate what you need so that your analysis can be as excellent as you want it. That is a reason why you would need the if function, because essentially you want to use the if function to generate or to derive a new column on an existing data set such that it will complement or it will add to what already is on ground, and so that you can go further to analyze by the new thing that you have just generated. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. So let me see if I can actually just quickly go to that file so we can see what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. So just let me activate the zoom feature. Okay. So if anyone is looking at my screen at the moment, this is what I'm trying to explain. So this was the data set, or this is the data set that we were supposed to use in the last class. I'm not going to go through every single thing here because I know that you have a good foundation as to how to use the if function now. So it makes no sense for me to go over it. But think about it. Just follow this explanation and let that form the basis of why you're doing what you're doing. Because for me, a lot of what we do in the data analysis space, I like to make people understand why they're doing what, so that they don't necessarily have to follow things hook, line, and sinker. You don't have to be a dogmatic person. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing, so that you would have justification as to what you're getting. So if you think about it this way, somebody is asking for the link to the file. This file was shared in the last class. So now we have, this is a school data set. So we have the school ID, we have the school name, we have the school location, we have the school type, whether it is a public school or a private school, and we have the performance rating of the school, which could either be, the performance rating can be poor, can be good, or can be excellent. So what we're trying to do is that based on what we already have, we need more things that we would want to analyze the schools by, but we don't currently have them. So, which is what I was explaining prior, which is a case of this is what you have, but you need some other things that would be derived from what you have. Then that is a place for you to use if function. The if function would be used when you need to derive something. You need to derive, or let me say, one of the use cases of the if function is a situation where you need to derive a new column from an existing column based on some conditions. I'll say that again for the last time. We have this set of columns. We need these new columns that would be derived from these existing columns. Then that is a place to use the if function. So one of the use cases for the if function is to derive a new column from an existing column based on some defined condition. Let me know in the chat if this makes sense to you. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Tell me on the chat if what I just said makes sense to you. Makes sense to only Victor. I would not be said to be a good teacher if only Victor is okay. Okay, I see some responses now. All right. So now that that is clear, what that will tell you is that what you're now trying to do when you were looking at this course or when you were looking at the age bracket to now give some to now say that if the age falls within this bracket, then it is called this. If the age falls within this bracket, then it is called this. What you're trying to do there is to derive a new column from an existing column by way of utilizing some set criteria or some set conditions. That is what you're doing with the if function, one of the major use cases. So, which I want to believe, based on that, you would be able to tackle this. What are we trying to do here? What we're trying to do is to say that we want to look at the performance rating column and create a performance category. If we are looking at this rating column, any school that has a performance of good, then that school will be put into a performance category of top tier. But any school that has a performance rating of poor, that school will be put into a category of needs improvement. That is what we're trying to do. And when we talk about the if function, like Femi would have told you in the last class, the if function has three arguments. We talk about arguments of any function. So if I do equal to if, we have three arguments. Remember that I already said that you want to use the if function to generate an existing column. You want to use the if function to generate a new column based on an existing column while you are checking for some conditions. You want to use the if function to generate a new column based on an existing column while you are checking for some conditions. So the condition you want to check for is what you will put in the logical test. The condition you want to check for is what you will put in the logical test. Then, if that condition is true, you want to do something. What is that thing that you want to do? You want to target a name, you want to do a calculation, you want to whatever you want to do. If that condition is true, that is what you put in the value if true. So think about it. Your condition at the end of the day would either be a true or a false. Kende can either be a male or a female. Okay? Olasumbo can either be a mechanic or not. Okay? Samuel can either be selling a car or not. You can be both. So if your condition is true, which means Samuel is selling a car, then we will want to do something. We want to buy Samuel some vegetable oil. If Samuel is not selling a car, that means that probably Samuel is a mechanic. Then we go to the value if false, and so we'll buy Samuel, we'll buy him a spanner. So what we are trying to say here is that we want to test for a condition. As soon as the condition is true, we will do whatever we are supplied in the value if true. Sorry, you are not very audible. What does that mean? Check your network. Raji, are you talking to me? The audio is somehow. Everybody go to the chat and confirm now, quickly. Confirm now, quickly. Is my audio good or not? Is my audio good or not? I need a response. Quickly, 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 quickly. What did Samuel do to you? Nothing, oh Samuel. You came at the right time. It's cracking. Okay. My audio is good. Okay. Okay. How is it now? Is it better now? Is the audio better now? Whoever has said it was cracking, is it better now? No longer fluctuating? Is it fine? Is it stable, consistent? I've almost exhausted my vocabularies. Better now. Super. All right. Okay. So now, what I've said in all of this is that with the if function, you want to test the condition. If the condition is true, you want to do something. If the condition is false, you want to do something else. If the condition is true, you want to do something. If the condition is false, you want to do something else. So that is what you're doing with the if function. And just like we saw for the sum, the mean, the max, the average, the count, we saw that they have sister functions, and the sister functions are the ones that have the s's. So now if also has ifs. We have the ifs function. The ifs function, not everybody would have it, depending on the version of Excel that you're using. So if you're using an Excel version that is lower than 2019, I don't think you would have the ifs function. Ifs function, I think, will be available to those that are from 2019 upwards. And also, we have a function called switch. We have the switch function. So we have the if, we have the ifs, and we have the switch function. So these are primarily the functions that you would use when you want to apply some conditions in order to generate some other columns. You want to generate new columns based on certain conditions, then you can go on to use any of these three functions. But again, there are times that you need beyond that. Your conditions are complex and you want to sort of infuse some conditions into one another, then you need the upper functions and or you will need one of these guys. You need one of these guys. And so that is, I think, in the last class, and some of you had confirmed on the chat that you spoke about the or, the and function, the and the likes of them. So just know that whenever you are using the and function, both must be true. The two things that you are testing must be true before you get it true for the and. But or is a bit more flexible. So whether one is true, the other is false, you always get a true back. So this is a table that you can use for it. So if you have true, something like this, true, true, and then we have true, false, we have false, true, and then we have false, false, something like this. If this is what you have, so these are two conditions. Condition one, let me just put condition one and condition two. So if you have your two conditions like this, one of them is returning a true, the other is returning a true, true and false, false and true, false and false. Okay. If you are now using a and, if you are using a and to check what between these two conditions, what would you get in return? The only time that you would get a true back when you use a and is when both are true. For every other ones, you will get false. Okay. And that is why some of you mentioned on the chart that and is restrictive. I'm not sure if I got the language properly, but it's very strict in a way that the two things that you're testing has to be true before you will get back a true. But when you're using the or function, so long as one of them is true, you always get a true back. The only time that you get a false using the or function between two conditions is when both are false. I think this suffices as a summary of what the if function is about. So you can use this now to go explore the file that I gave to you, and so you can see how this plays out. But up until now, are we clear with what we've done? Do you have additional understanding about the if function now? Confirm, confirm. Okay, clear, clear, clear. Yes, yes. No understanding. Indeed. Okay. Where are you just coming from, indeed? Just coming. I see. Very clear. Super. All right. So I'm going to close this chapter. But before then, I just want to show you something. Remember that that was not the last class. That was probably the second class. So where we talked about the max and the main function, the max ifs and the main ifs function. I said in that class that some of you that do not have the maxifs and the minifs, you can actually use, there's an alternative, there's an option that you have. And the option I was referring to that day, although you have different ways around it, but let's go the if route. So if I want to get the total salary in Bielsa, so let me just do this. If I want to get the total salary for our staff in Bielsa, I can do equal to SUMIFS, and then I come in here to say that this is my range. This is my range, and my condition is Bielsa. I select Bielsa here, and then this is what I want to sum up. And I hit enter, so I have this. This is what I have. So let me just see if I can just change the formatting quickly. So this is what I have, okay? But now, some of us do not have the SUMIFS function, okay? You do not have the SUMIFS function, assuming, or you do not have the mini function. You do not have the maxi function. What then do you use? So the alternative you have is to use the if function. The if function is the alternative that you have. How then do we go about using the if function for this scenario? First thing you need to think about is we need to sort of find a way to get the values that we want, more like saying that you want to derive a new column here. I will break it down so that you understand what is happening behind the scenes, and then we'll now do it right within a single calculation. So if I come here now, what I want to do is I want to pick the salaries that should come in the calculation for Bielsa. I want to pick the salaries that should come into the calculation for Bielsa. If you remember, if you have not used it to Itakara, you probably will remember that in the last class we started. That was exactly the thing that we started with, whereby I went on here to apply a filter to Bielsa so that you see the rows that we want to consider in our calculation. So we have 3 rows. So there are 3 rows that you want to calculate. There are 3 rows that we want to get, that we want to consider in the calculation for Bielsa, because those are the rows that tie to Bielsa. So now, what I would do here is to say that I will do equal to for now. I just want to show you what's happening. Or let me do this. Equal to if. You already know this. Equal to if I come here, if whatever is on this cell is equal to Bielsa. If whatever is on this cell is equal to Bielsa, comma, I want you to return the salary here. Focus. Don't be distracted. Those of you that you're asking for IS, once you get this, you can apply it anywhere. That's why you need to pay attention. Don't rush. Pay attention, learn the basics, learn the fundamentals, and you'll be able to apply it anywhere. So if whatever is in the company's column, if whatever is in this cell, if it is equal to Bielsa, I want to return the corresponding salary. Otherwise, I want to return 0. Think about it for the moment. What are we trying to do? We want to return the salary on a new column, which is the explanation that I gave earlier, that you can use the if function to derive a new column from an existing column when some conditions are true. What is the condition here? We want to check what is in the rows under company. We want to check if each of the rows are equal to Bielsa. Whichever row is equal to Bielsa, we want to return the actual salary. Whichever row is not equal to Bielsa, we want to return a 0. That is the value if false. So if I hit enter at this point, you see that I get back the exact salary that is here. It's sort of replicated here because the condition is true. what we have on this cell is BIOSA. So that is true. Let's go a cell downwards. If I go a cell downward, you see that I get a 0 back. Why do I have a 0? We already said in our condition that we are checking whether C9, which is Yobe, whether Yobe is equal to BIOSA. Yobe obviously is not equal to BIOSA, and because Yobe is not equal to BIOSA, then we are returning a 0 instead. If this is clear to you, then you have an answer already. So if I go on to now take this down, if I go on to take these guys down, like so, what you will realize is that the only values that will be returned are the 3 instances where we have BIOSA. So this is one, this is another BIOSA here, the actual value is returned, and then we have one more BIOSA here, the actual value is returned. And we have bunches of zeros because those do not meet our condition. And because they do not meet our condition, we go back a 0. So if this is the helper column that we would have needed, but again, we can now do everything within a single calculation, just like we would want to. All right. So is this clear to everybody? Just confirm, everybody. Just confirm, just confirm, just confirm if this is clear to you. Super, this is clear. So now we sort of have what we need. We have what we need. But let me show you something, which is a valuable tool when you get to grow your Excel skills. What class are you guys now? I think the last class you were in nursery 1, right? So what class have you got to now? What class? What class? What class have you got to now? Quickly. People have forgotten their class. Someone is in nursery 2. Okay, good. Class 7. Me, I don't know class 7. Oh. We went through nursery and primary. Kindergarten. Okay, super. Primary 5. You are preparing for common entrance. Have you bought your Ogo? This is mechanic. This is the mechanic view, best one. How can mechanic view be the best one? How? Crutch. All right. So now we sort of have what we need. But let me teach you one trick. When you begin to go along in your Excel journey, you need to be able to audit your formula to understand what is happening at every point of your formula. You need to be able to understand it. And one thing you can do is when you have a formula like this, we said we use the if function and then blah 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 in the bracket, we have this. You want to know, for example, when we tested if C8 is equal to BIOSA, you want to know whether it was true or false. What you can do is to highlight that portion of the calculation. Look at this. If you highlight that portion of the calculation, you get to see whether it's true or false. It's not coming up for me, but I can do something to make it come up. So if I do, let me see, F9. Yes, it's F9. That's the key. So now, you see now, if I do Ctrl Z, for some of you, depending on the version that you're using, once you highlight the condition part of your if function, you see actually at the top whether it returned a true or a false. But because the Excel that I'm using today seems not to be the more recent version, so I will need to press F9. If I press F9 on my keyboard, if I press F9 on my keyboard, F9, F9, and then you see that this returned a true. So which means that the condition that I tested on this row number 1 actually returned a true, and so it went on to return the value if true. Let me just go to one of the cells that returned a false. So I come here, I highlight this guy, and then I do F9. You see that this returned a false. In Excel, for this level, false means 0. True means 1. or true means non-zero. Let's take it that way. False means zero. True means non-zero. It could be one. It could be yes, your true popped up for you. Yes, because you are using a more recent version, Paul. That's why. So what I would mean is that what we'll do or what we can do in this instance is to now just perform a trick. We just want to perform a trick. So we have this as our formula. So I can do something like this here. Let me try this here to see. So I'm just going to take this guy off so I'm not going too far. Let me try to collapse this guy. Collapse this guy here like so. Pay attention, everybody. This is all we are doing on the if function, and then we move on. Let me take this guy out completely. So let's do this. I'm just looking for a way that everything that we're doing will be so 100% clear. I can do something like this. I can do something like this. Equal to whatever is here. Whatever is here, I want to check if this is equal to BIOSA. When you see something like this in Excel, this is still testing for a condition. This is still testing for a condition. Okay? So now, this C8 is equal to BIOSA. If I hit enter, this returns a true, which tells us that whatever is here in this cell is equal to BIOSA. If I come down and I do Control D to copy it down, you see all of these guys, they come out as false. These trues and false, I can turn them to actual number. I can turn them to actual number. What I would do is if I come here, let me do that on a new cell so that we get this before we now put all the learnings together. I can do equal to whatever is here multiply by 1. You know, 1 times something would always be that same thing. So that would tell you what is behind the true and what is behind the false. So 1 times true is equal to 1, and 1 times false is equal to 0. 1 times true is equal to 1. 1 times false is equal to 0. So this tells you that primarily Excel sees true to be 1, okay, or say non-zero, but most of the times it's 1, but there are some cases that it treats anything other than 0 as true. And then whatever is false, Excel treats it to be 0. You get to see some of these later when we get to the other set of functions that we'll be looking at. Once you have this, then you have all the solution that we need. We have all the solution that we need. So let's put this together now. So I can come here now. I can come here. I can now do something like this. So look at this. This should not be a magic to anybody again. So I can do that. I want to test what is in this entire column. Everything in this entire column. I want to test if this, I want to test if this equal to BIOSA. I will show you how to audit this again. We want to test if this entire thing is equal to BIOSA. If this is equal to BIOSA, because I want to now return the actual salaries that belong to each of the cells in here, then I can now do something like this. This is a trick anyways, but again, for those of you that would understand it, it will make sense to you. And you'll be able to do this, especially for those of you that you are using a lower version of Excel. So we can now do something like this. You can multiply this by the actual salaries. And somebody will already know why we are multiplying this by the actual salary, because we know that when we are testing C8 to C27 to see only those that's equal to BIOSA, what we are doing there eventually will have bunches of trues and false, and we know that true is 1, false is 0. So if you multiply 1 by the actual salary, you get the same salary back. If you multiply 0 by the salary, you get 0 back. So at the end of the day, if you now have this, so what we can now do is to now wrap this entire thing in a sum function, like so. So we wrap this entire thing in a sum function, and then you get this back. Dockers, no, we can't allow that to happen. So let me now show you what has happened. So let's come here to audit this. So if I highlight this portion of our condition, if I highlight the portion of our condition and I do F9, you see what we got back. So everywhere you see true, those are the actual cells that hold BIOSA. And everywhere you see false, those are the cells that do not have BIOSA. And we know that the true that you see here is a 1, the false that you see is a 0. So when you now pick each of these truths and you multiply it by what is here, which is the salary, you get back the actual salary, or you get a 0. And when you sum it up, you get back what the SUMIFS will give to you. Don't worry, I will leave you to go and rewatch this. I will leave you to go and rewatch this, but this is super important, especially for those of you that you have a lower version of Excel. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Not to worry. I know some of you will be lost. I know. But let me explain one more time, and the last time. If you do not get it after now, just take a pause. You can go buy bread and akara. Take it, drink very cold zobo, and then you get back to class. By that time we would have moved forward, so that means that when you're done, you now go back to watch that particular side of things. But let me just explain what is happening here. So for you to get a good hang of the if function, you need to understand what is happening behind the hood or under the hood. You need to understand it. And what is happening is whenever you test for a condition, what will be returned is either a true or a false. That's what you will get back. It's either a true or a false. If you get back a true, then you want to do something. If you get back a false, then you don't want to do what the true would have led you to do. You want to do something else. So, because you now get back truths and falses, the truths and falses are now super powerful that you can utilize them with some other calculations. Think about the true as something that could lead you to a 1. Think about the false as something that could lead you to a 0. So whatever can lead you to a 1, which means that gives you another power to use it to get the value that you would have you want to have. Okay? And when you have a 0, you can use that to eliminate the values that you don't need. But in Excel is not rigid. Excel is not a one size fits all thing. So what you can always do is to use helper columns like this, like I've done here. Okay, so these are called helper columns that would help you to get to where you want to get to. That is what helper column means. So you don't want to go this route because you feel this is complicated for you. What you can do is you create an helper column like this, where you are just testing whether the company here is BIOSA, return the value, otherwise return 0. And at the end of the day, if you place a sum on this column, then you would have your results out. Okay, so let's proceed now quickly so that we can go into what we want to discuss today. But again, like I mentioned, I need every single person go back to the exercise file that was shared that day, practice out everything that you have on that file, and then you can now go on to follow through with the other thing. Maybe we'll use that as your assignment anyway, so you can just go and lay your hands on that. I want to assume that you know what if is doing. And if would test for a single condition. Then the ifs can allow you to use multiple conditions. The same thing with the switch function. All right, so today we actually want to look at, you didn't receive the file for today. Can everybody confirm on the chat quickly if you got the file for today or not? If you got the file for today, yes. If you didn't get it, no on the chat. So someone got the file. The file has been shared. Yes, no, yes. No. Was it shared via email? It's on the Google Drive. Okay, so there's a Google Drive that the files are being shared on. You probably need to look at the drive so you can pick your file from there. The drive is updated. Super. So if you don't have the file, then it's up to you to go get it. Okay, so today we want to look at another category of functions. So far we have looked at functions that are related to numbers. We've looked at functions that are related to text. We've looked at functions that are related to conditions. And now we are on functions that are related to dates. These functions that are related to date, they are super important because they would also allow you to be a bit more flexible with your analysis. So everything that we have done so far, there are still ways of getting our data ready in the right shape, in the right form that we need for analysis. Remember that when we talked about the text function, your data came in some format that you think that this is not analysis ready, so you needed to do some cleanups. The same thing with conditionals. You have your data, but there are some other columns that you need that will be derived from the existing columns, so you needed to bring those columns up using the if, the ifs, and the switch. The same thing, you could have your dates, but there are some other date-related calculations or date-related columns that you would need that you need to get off the existing date column that you have. And that's why you need to sort of understand the dates or the some of the dates function that we have. The date functions are numerous. If you want to see a full list of the date functions, if we go here to the formulas tab, if you go to the formulas tab, and you come here to the date and time group, yes, within the function library, you come here to the date and time. If I expand on this, you see that we have a long list of the dates functions. But we touch on a few of these so that you have an idea of what is possible and how you can begin to now grow the kinds of calculations that you want to see. Okay, so let me try to zoom this in a bit more. Somebody is complaining. I'm hoping that this is better. So now, remember our set of employees. We have not sacked anybody, but maybe some of them have left us. So we have Good Luck Jonathan, we have Buka Ibrahim, and all of them. And Good Luck Jonathan is actually in the ICT department. So he's one of our tech gurus. And he joined us in 2019. So this column has the resumption date. That was when each of our staff members actually joined us. And then we have the exit date. Okay. If the exit date column is empty, it means that that particular person, that employee, is still with us. If the exit date is not empty, which is the exit date as a date, it means that that particular person has left our business. I would not say that they found a better offer. They went for a lower offer because there is no company that can pay better than us, actually. All right. So then we now need some columns to make our analysis interesting. We need to know, we want to create a column that only has the resumption year. What year did each of this employee join us? We want to have a column that tells us the resumption here. Excuse me. Or they got fired. We don't fire people. We don't fire people. Yes, Peter, you got it right. We also want to know the resumption month so that maybe you are beginning to think in the light of the analysis that can come out of this. For example, we may want to know how many people did we hire in a particular year. If you want to know the number of people we hired in a particular year, the first thing that we need to get out is to be able to get out the year from the date. Because once we get the year out of the date, we can use a function to count the number of people that we hired in each of the years. Can somebody go to the chart and tell me, for this scenario that I just painted, we want to know the number of people, the number of employees that were hired in a particular, let's say in 2019. Want to know the number of employees that were hired in 2019. What function would we use? What function would we use? Right function. Okay. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. COUNTIF. Okay. Let me know if I've failed as a teacher already, and then I'll just leave the class and I'll probably go back to our Akara business. Okay, I see count, I see left, I see if, I see COUNTIF, I see if function. Think about it. Oh, think about it before you answer. We have the resumption date. We have the resumption date. Assuming we've been able to get out the years from the resumption date. Based on the years that we've gotten out, we now want to get the number of employees that were hired in 2019. COUNTIFs, super. So this is a case where you would use the COUNTIF function because you want to count the number of employees based on a condition. And what is the condition? That the resumption year must be equal to 2019. So this is how you will begin to tie together all that you've learned so far. You have to begin to tie together all that you've learned so far. All right. So we want to be able to get the resumption year. The same thing, we may want to know perhaps there is a particular month that we hire so much. Maybe we never can tell until we analyze our data set. And so, or maybe there is a particular month that we hire right. Maybe there's a particular month that we hire right. Think about it. We can be hiring, but now we want to know if maybe we did appraisal. Now, let me give you an instance. We did appraisal. And then after the appraisal, from the result, we saw that there were 2 outstanding employees. And so we want to now find out which month did we hire these 2 employees. Maybe we hired the 2 employees in the same month. If we hired the 2 employees in the same month, what would that tell us? Was it a month that the HR was generally not busy, so they had much time to now focus on the hiring process, and so they were able to patiently hire the right candidate for that role or for those roles? So that would begin to give you some pointers as to what you're doing right in the business. Remember, in the first class, we mentioned why you would be doing or why businesses run analysis. And one of the reasons is that we want to know what is working. So this is how. So you need to continue to follow along this way so that you begin to tie together everything that we are discussing so far. So also, we want to know on which day did these guys resume. Then the days in employment, how long have they stayed with us in days? Months in employment, how long have they stayed with us in months? And when is their next work anniversary? So these are questions that we want to answer based on what we have at hand. But before we go, there are 2 functions that we need to begin with. We have a function that is called today. What does today do? Today returns the current date formatted as a date. Today returns the current date. So whenever you are working in Excel and you need to return today's date in Excel, you can use the today function. You can use the today function. So if I do today, and today is asking for no argument. That's why you can see that in the pair of parentheses, there are no arguments specified. So it needs no argument, so I just need to close the bracket and I hit enter and this tells us that today is the 30th of April 2025. That is what today is, or today's date is. Then we have another function. So this function is today. Then we have another function called now. And what now does for you is, if I do equal to now, it returns the current date and time. Now function returns the current day and time. So if I do this, it also requires no argument. I close my bracket, I hit enter, then you see that we have the same date but with the addition of the time. The same date but with the addition of the time. So now, one thing about these two functions, I can't zoom in beyond this, unfortunately. I've used the zoom feature, so you need to check your own screen. You need to check your own screen. So one thing you need to know about these two functions is that these two functions are called, they are from the category of functions that are volatile. They are from the category of functions that are volatile. What does volatile function mean? A volatile function is a function that updates itself whenever there is a change within that workbook. A volatile function is a function that updates itself whenever there is a change in that workbook. As I can see now, it seems like we are now, the time now is 7:52, but you see that on my Excel is still showing 7:51. If I try to do anything here and I hit enter, you see now that my now function updated and we now see 7:53, which is the current date and the time. That's the current date and the time. So now, interestingly, if I leave this function this way, I close this workbook, I save it, I close it, and I open this workbook tomorrow, you will see that the today and the now function would have updated to tomorrow's date and time. So that is why they are called volatile function, because they update themselves. The now isn't working in 2016. Maybe it was not available at the time. Maybe it was not available at the time. All right, so they have their shortcuts too. Anyways, they have their shortcuts too. So the shortcuts to get today is if I do control colon, so control colon, so that gives us today's date. If I do control shift colon, that gives us the time. If I do control shift colon, sorry, if I do control colon space control shift colon, I get the date and the time in the same column, in the same cell. What is the latest Excel version now? The latest Excel version now would be version April 2025. So I don't remember vividly if I mentioned it in the introductory class. Excel has two kinds of product. You can either be on a standalone product or you are on a subscription based product. So if you are on a standalone product, you would not be getting updates until you go to install the newer versions. But if you are on a subscription based product, you'll be getting updates as Microsoft updates every single month. They update their product. I'm too fast with what? Eunice. What am I too fast with? I mentioned it. Super. Thanks a lot for that. I have evidences. This is not a case of there is no evidence. It's not working in 2010. Wisdom, yes. If it was not working in if it's not working in 2016, obviously it would not work in 2010. Obviously it would not. So I'll just take back the shortcut again, which is if you want to get today's date, control colon. So this key, this key, that is what you need. Whether you call it column or the semicolon, they are on the same key. Okay, so that is what you need to get today's date. And then if you need the time, you just need control shift that same key. All right, if you need the date and the time, you do control colon first, okay, that gives you the date, add a space, and then you do control shift that semicolon, and this will give you the date and the time. Are we good? Clear up to this point, everybody? Clear up to this point? Joseph, what are we repeating again? Sir Joseph. Yes, Victoria. Volatile caused the update. Adebayo, obviously, if you're on Microsoft 365, everything that I'm talking about and beyond, you would have them. There are even super more excellent functions that you would use if you're on M365. Well understood. Excellent. So let's go back. Let's begin our work now. I needed this because at a point we're going to need it. All right, so let's start. We want to know the resumption year. We want to know the resumption year. How do you think? How do you think, or in what way do you think we can go in order for us to now extract the year from the dates? Abraham, yes, it happens. You may not always understand. It's fine. So what you need to do is to go over the recording. The file is not in the list. No, some people have the file, Mayowa. So it's Excel function 4. Excel function 4. Dates. That's what the file should be named with. Okay, I see someone mention, some people saying the right function, super, is colon, not column. Colon and semicolon, not column and semicolon. No, colon. And the same key serves the two. So if you say control colon or control semicolon, it's the same thing. Right function. So we can use the right function. So if you go the route of the right function, we'll get it. But because we're talking about dates related function, so we need to go by our brother year function. So there is a year function in Excel. What does the year function do? Returns the year of a date, an integer in the range of, just ignore that. That is an explanation that is not needed. But what it does is that it returns the year of a date. You have a date and you want to return the year from that date, you can use the year function. If you use the right function, let's see what will happen. We'll get something, but I need you to pay attention to something. So look at this. If I do equal to right, I come here, I select this as the text. I put a comma. The number of characters is 4. I want to extract 4 characters. I close my bracket, I hit enter. This is what I get in return. I get this in return. If I come here, before I go on, can somebody guess why we have this? Can somebody guess why we have this? Try the right function on your own file and tell me what you see. Try the right function and tell me what you see. Quickly try it and tell me what you see. Same thing. So this is the reason. So let's look at this. If I do something like this, let me show you this. So I'll just insert a column here. So if I do something like this date plus 0, and then I change this like this. Let me just take it to the general formatting. So now, This is what you would see naturally, which is a reason why. So behind this date, this is the actual number that is there. This is the actual number that is behind this date. And the reason is that Excel actually recognizes only two things. Everything that you do in Excel must either be a text or a number. So one of the things that Excel recognizes as numbers is your dates. So behind every date that you see, there is actually a number. And the number behind this date is 43,690. And so that's why when we did write off 43,690, we got back 3690. That is the reason why we got what we got. So that is why you need to understand what is happening so things are not strange to you. So now, and the meaning of this 43,690 is Excel starts its calculation of dates from the 1st of January 1900. So Excel does not recognize any date before 1900. So it naturally recognizes date from 1900. So 1st of January 1900, that is day 1. 2nd of January 1900, that is day 2. So if you count it from the 1st of January 1900 till the 13th of August 2019, there are 43,690 days from the 1st of January 1900 to that particular day. So that is why this is the actual number that is behind this date. This is the number of days that has elapsed from this particular date. Does anyone understand what I've just explained? Does anyone understand what I've just explained? No, some people do not understand. Okay, some people understand. Fine. All right. So what we'll do now is you can go on to complete your attendance now, and then when we're back, we'll pick it up from here again, and we continue with what is next. So see you in like 5 minutes. Alrighty, so we're back now. Mr. Peter, the timekeeper. Thank you, sir. All right, so back. Oluwasheo, are you telling Peter to calm down? Actually, no. I wasn't actually. But I needed to take water. All right, so what I was explaining is this. Excel recognizes two things primarily: texts or numbers. Every single thing that you type into a cell, Excel either treats it as a text or it treats it as a number. Every single thing that you type into a cell, Excel either treats it as a text or it treats it as a number. So one of the things that Excel treats as a number is dates. So whenever you see dates at a surface level like this, Excel actually sees this to be a number under the hood. And that is the only reason why you will be able to perform some sort of calculations that will perform on dates. Because dates are seen as numbers, and that's why I went into this column. If you look at the formula bar, I added 0 to this date. I added 0 to the date. I performed a mathematical operation on the date because the date actually to Excel is a number. And I went further to now give an instance or to give a background to the fact that when Excel, this number that you see here, I said that this number is the same thing as the dates that you see here. I can just go on to format this like so, and you see that it is actually the same date. But again, is behind it is this number, and this number represents the number of days from the 1st of January 1900. So the first day that Excel recognizes, yes, the first day, winner, that's true. The first day that Excel recognizes is the 1st of January 1900. So from the 1st of January 1900, what this is telling you is that 43,690 days has passed from the 1st of January 1900. And so behind this 43,690 is now this date that we can see on the surface level. But at the back of it, this is actually what Excel recognizes. Does this make sense to people now? Does this make sense? The videos are available, Jeremiah. That's why you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The videos are there. So you can always come back to watch the videos whenever you need to. I don't know for how long, but I know that for the duration of the training, you can always come back to look at it. 1900, not 1990, 1900 or 1900 before the Lexis and structure teachers would pick on me. What should I rephrase, Mr. Sadiq? All right, super. So let's now go. So if you would want to use the right function on this, what it means is that this has to be a text first, because remember, right function is supposed to be used on text. So if this were to be a text, then you would be able to now use the right function on it. And how do you recognize what is a text and what is a number? By just seeing it. When you are looking at two things in Excel, so let me do something. So if I do something like this, if I do this, if I do this and I do this, you see the difference? So this is how you recognize a text from a number in Excel. Whenever you are looking at anything that is sitting within a cell, primarily, when no huge formatting has been performed on it, when you're looking at it, if it is left aligned within the cell, that is the first precursor that that thing is a text. And if you are looking at it and it's aligned to the right, it is the first precursor that you get that that thing is a number. So if you look at the department column, everything you see in the department column, you see that they are left aligned, and everything you see in the resumption date column, you see that they are right aligned. So that is something that tells you that the date is actually numbers because they are right aligned, and days, the department is text because they are left aligned. So now, if I come here to 1900 now, let's now do a write on this, extract 4, close my bracket, hit enter. You see that I get 1900 here. And if I come down here, I do Control D. What did you see? You see that I got back 1. All right. So that tells you that here I'm using the right function to extract from a text. So I got what I was expecting. But here I'm using the right function to extract from a number, but the date I'm seeing is not the actual number behind the scene. I already told you that this 1900 is 1. That is the first day, so it is 1. So which is why it returned 1 only even when I asked it to return 4 characters. Is anyone still confused? If anybody is still confused at this point, the person should go and get akara and soya milk. Let me know that you are confused. So maybe I can send 15 naira for you to go and buy akara and soya milk. I saw somebody now that probably would need that 15 naira. No more Zobo. No, Oladipo, it's cold. We don't want cold Zobo. No 15 naira akara. Patience, where do you live? James, I should have 20 naira. What do you need the 20 naira for? Grace wants $500. Grace, you are not in Nigeria. We don't spend dollars in Nigeria. All right. So it means we're good. Okay, so these are part of the foundations that you need to understand. So when you are doing something and you feel like Excel is misbehaving, Excel is not misbehaving. Excel is doing what it was wired to do. You are the one that needs to understand what you're trying to do. All right. So now let's go to what we want to solve. So I'm just going to clean up some of this, guys. Go here. Let me see. Okay, I don't need it. So I take this out. I clean this out, and we are back here. So now, so instead of using the right function here, we'll use the year function. We'll use the year function. So I use the year function. The year function is asking for serial number. What does this tell you again? This is another confirmation that dates are numbers. So the year function, by definition, is meant to return the year from a date. But now, if you look at the argument of the year function, it's asking for serial number. Faith, you got the gist. So it's asking for serial number. That tells you again that the dates are actually numbers to Excel. So what we need to just supply is to supply our resumption date like so, close the bracket, hit enter, and this gives us this. But again, what we got is strange. So the reason is that this column was not formatted the right way. So let's see the kind of formatting that's there. You see, it's a date format. No, that's not what we need. So we need it to be no format at all, and that gives us 2019. That gives us 2019. What is the purpose for writing 4? 4 where, Richard? Maybe this is your first class, Richard. Rufus, which explanation are you asking about? Which explanation? How to convert to text. How to convert to text. What do you want to convert to text, please? Reality. Victoria, maybe I'll be one of those that will patronize you. You can go ahead. You have my full backing. How did you get 2019 now, please? Okay, this is what you do. Equal to, my Excel is rolling. Somebody is holding back my Excel. Excuse me. Do this. Equal to year. So you use the year function. Yes, Toby, look at my screen. Use the year function. Select the dates. Hit on enter. You probably don't have this at first because that column was already formatted as a date. So what you need to do is to go to the Home tab, come here to this drop down. If you see it as 7/11/1905, that's because it's formatted as a date. Just go to change it to general, which means no format, and you would have 2019. Toby, try it and see. Esther, do you have an answer now? All good, all good, all good. Super. All right, so let's proceed. And you know that once you get the first one, what do you do to fill it down? What do you do? What do you do? Let me know those that are still mechanics. I want to fish out the mechanics amongst you. Once you have done it for the first one, what do you do next? To make it go to the others, you drag down. You see? I've seen one mechanic. Flash fill, another mechanic. You are just joining. Senior mechanic. Drag and double click. How will you drag and double click? You're a mechanical engineer. You can just double click. So you can come here to the fill and do. It's called a fill and do. Double click it and that fills it down for you. So that's the right way to go about it. All right, resumption month. So we want to extract the month from the date. We have extracted the year from the date. Now we want to extract the month. How do we extract the month? So what you would do, we have the month function in Excel. We have the month function, but read the description of this so that you'll not be surprised about what you get. The month function returns the month, which would be a number from 1, which stands for January, to 12, which stands for December. All right, so the month function is meant to return a number. So if I do tab, I select the resumption date, I hit enter, then I get this strange thing again. What do I need to do from here is to go to the Home tab, go to the format. It is set to date. That's why I'm getting this strange number. I can just say general, no format, and this is month 8. And we know that August is month number 8. Anyone got this? Or we need to go over it again? Okay, you got it. Super. Somebody is saying that I'm a mechanical engineer like you. You want me to start denying that I'm not an engineer now, but I will not do that. I will not do that. Don't worry. Okay, so we have the month, but this month came as a number. How can we get the month as a text? How can we get the month as a text. What does this mean? Instead of saying 8 as the month, which is telling us month 8, we want it to show August. You want it to show August. Toby, you want to supply me Akara for 8 weeks. That would be so interesting. So you want to see August instead of 8. Okay. So how do we go about this? How do we remove the decimal from 00? This is what you do. If you have any number like this in Excel, so let's say I put in this number here. If I format this number, if I come here to Home tab and I put this comma separator, 1000 separator, I have this 00 here. If you want to take out the decimal place, you have these two guys here. So one would increase the decimal, the other one would decrease the decimal. So if you come here to decrease decimal, you click, then you have done what you want. So now, coming back to this, how do we change the months? Instead of it returning 8, we want it to return August. So what to do is we need to use one other interesting function in Excel called the text function. So I do equal to text. What does the text function do? Read it here. You already have an understanding of what it does. The text function converts a value to text in a specific number format. The text function converts a value to text in a specific number format. If I tab into this, the text function is now asking, what is the value that you want to format? What is the value that you want to apply the formatting to? Just think about it like, what is the date that you want to extract the month from? What is the date that you want to extract the month from? So I select this date. And how do I want this date to appear? That is where I need a code. And this is where somebody would have told you in the past that Excel is also programming. Don't let them lie to you. You will learn coding in Excel. Yes, but no, Excel coding is straightforward. You just need to understand to sort of know what to apply. So let me show you something before I go into this. If I come here, for the text function, in the format, you have a number of options depending on what you want to see. If I want to see something like August, like so, I will need to use 4ems. That's the code I will use to format it. If I want to see AUG, I will need to use 3ems. Same thing. If I want to see Wednesday, all right, I would use 4Ds like this. If I want to see word, all right, I would use 3Ds. So that's the code. There are more, but let's limit it to this for now. Explain in Yoruba. What do you want me to explain in Yoruba? So this is what you have. So now this is the code that we use in our text function to return August if you want it to be written in full, or AUG if you want it abbreviated. If we are doing the extraction for day instead and we want it to be written in full, you use 4Ds. If you want it to be written abbreviated, use 3Ds. So I come here, like so. So I do equal to text. This is the date. This is the date, comma. Then we want to return the month in full. So I just put a double quote and I do MMMM, not the MMM that you know. So this is Excel. So I close my bracket, and what have I done? I want to format this date such that it only shows the month part. This is what this is doing in the background. So I hit enter, and you see that now we got out August. It's not just August that is written as 4Ms. If you want to return any month of the year in full, you use 4Ms. And so once you have done it for August like this, if you double click, you will see what you are looking for. As the class commenced, hey, correct, Omobolanle, very correct. Yes, Augusta, you're correct. I just explained Valentine. Thank you, Eileen. You are getting January. Where did you get January? What is your date? Just confirm. You might be correct. What date did you supply? If your date actually has a month of January, then you're correct. Otherwise, you did something wrong. You got January too. What's the date that you applied it to? Type the date on the chart for me. James, that's the goal. Everybody must love Excel. Instead of resumption date, what does that mean? Your own has a comma before August. Check what you have in your formula. You are getting January. Put the date on the chart for me. Let me see the date that you applied it to, or put the exact formula on the chart. And let me see the actual date that you applied it to. That's how you would inform us whether you did something right or wrong. Dorcas is quite unfortunate. Bele. Okay. Thank you for that, Emmanuel. Maybe you chose resumption month instead of the resumption date. Resumption date is what you're applying that format to, not the month. Thank you. Might be. You got November. How did you get November, Gideon? Look at what I have on my screen. Look at my formula bar. If what you have in your formula bar for the first cell is different from this, then you are wrong. Olubumi does not have the material when we are rounding up already. You are getting a name error. You typed your function wrongly. Check. Yes, lucky. Everybody is expected to have the file. If you don't have it, Adi, I mean, what's choking you? Peter, I've explained this. I already answered. The format is not tied to any month. Do it for the first one, get the correct thing, fill it down. You'll see that it's not tied to any month. It's just a format to return the month from any dates. So it's not tied to specific month. Yes, Grace, good. Super, Esther. Instead of saying this, what do you mean? Yes, library. You are correct. All right, so let's proceed. So now, resumption date. How do we extract day? Resumption day. How do we extract day from the dates? We have the day function. And what does the day function does? What does it do? It returns the day of the month, which would be a number between 1 and 31. It returns a day of the month, which will be a number between 1 and 31. So if I tab into this, I go to supply my resumption date. All right. I go to supply my resumption date. I hit enter. So this is still formatted as a date. That's why you see what you see. If you go here to the home tab, You come here to the format and you change this to general, then we'll have the day to be 13. Let me pronounce it like some people, 13. All right, so quick classwork. What if you want to return the actual day of the week? Maybe it's a Monday or it's a Tuesday, it's a Wednesday. How do you do that? Complete this and put your formula on the chart for me to see. If you want to return the actual day, you want to return the actual day, whether it's a Monday, it's a Sunday, it's a Tuesday, it's a Wednesday, put that on the chart. Text. Super. So we are following. All right. So we are almost there, close to the promised land. Days in employment. So we want to know, for example, Goodluck Jonathan joined us in August 2019. How long in days has he been with us? How long in days has he been with us? We want to know. Anybody wants to try? How do we get this out? How long in days has Goodluck Jonathan been with us? We want to know. Maybe in our business, we honor the long serving staff. And so we want to know how long each of the staff members have been with us. How do we go about this? All right. Super. I'm glad that you all have an idea. If you think about it, it's straightforward. What do you want to get? We want to know from when they joined us, how many days have elapsed? From when the person resumed, how many days have elapsed? That's what we want to get. So for us to get the number of days that have elapsed from the day that the person joined us till technically today, it means that we need to subtract the resumption date from today. And the only reason why you would be able to subtract the resumption date from today is because of the point that we raised earlier, which is that Excel recognizes dates as numbers. That's the only reason why you'll be able to do the subtraction. So I come here, I can say that's equal to today, because again, we know that today function will return today's date. So we want to know how many days have they spent with us from the resumption date till today. So I do today minus the resumption date. When I do that and it's correct, I hit enter. I have this back because this is sort of formatted as a date. I come here to the home tab. I come here and I do general. And you see that Goodluck Jonathan has actually spent 2087 days with us, which is good. Shegun, what of September or January? What does that mean? Yeah, so this is how we go about this. Okay, the number of months they've spent with us. How do we know the number of months that they've spent with us? I should come again with this. What have we done? Equal to today. Today is a function. We already spoke about that when we started. equal to today minus when they resumed. They resumed in 2019. So today minus their resumption in 2019, hit enter, then we have this. I can do this to get out the number of days. Esther, how did you do it for you not to work? How do you get the material to show on the system in Excel from our mail? John, did you just join the class? When is the link for the community going to be sent? I do not know. So just be patient. People are working assiduously to get us comfortable. What of other month or dates? Which other month or dates? Oluwafemi, months minus resumption month. Months minus resumption month. That would be interesting if it works. Okay, can the general tab be set as default? So the formatting is actually dependent on what you're considering in your calculation. If you've paid attention, you see that every single place where we had the results to be formatted automatically as date, we add date in the initial calculation. So whenever you're doing a calculation on date, Excel already assumes that the result will be in date format, and that's why you're getting that. Please do day again. Which day? Which column? Love it. What if you want to cover the number to months? You want to... I'm not sure I got that. Queen. What if they left before today? Super. So if they left before today, it means that that is a case where we'll consider the exit date. That's the case where we'll consider the exit date, which brings about an interesting case, a very interesting case. And I like that. Who asked that question again? The person is supposed to get Akara grandchildren. People don't retire in our company. It's till death do us apart. Halima, we don't allow people to retire. You join us, except with and I said earlier that we don't fire people, so you will not retire too. But how do they live? I don't know. If the staff is no longer yes, good. Jude, what's your question? Repaste your question. Maybe you flew up. I didn't catch it. All right, so let's look at this. Let's look at this quickly so we can round up. The number of days they've spent. So we said that the number of days they've spent will be today minus when they joined us. Today minus when they joined us. That is how we'll get the number of days they've spent with us. But in the case where they have actually exited, it means that they are not with us till today. So we are supposed to consider this exit date. We are supposed to consider this exit date. And that is when we now bring about your knowledge of your if function again to say that if, check this column of exit date, follow this. If you get this, then you are in GSS1. If you understand what I want to explain now and you can implement it yourself, you are already in GSS1. And maybe triple promotion next. Before we finish Excel class, you'll get to SS3. All right. So just focus. So now, what we want to do now is this. We have two cases at hand. One is the person is still with us or the person has left the business. If the person is still with us, we want to use today as the day that we'll use to get the number of days they've stayed with us. If the person has left, we want to use the exit date. And this is a super useful case, again, for the if function. So if I come here now, what I would do is I would do equal to if. So what I want to do is I want to check if the exit date is blank. Remember that if the exit date is blank, it means that they are still with us. They've not left. But anywhere we see a date in the exit date column, it means that they have left us. So I want to check if the exit date column is blank. If it is blank, the calculation should be today minus the resumption date. If it is not blank, then the calculation will be exit date minus resumption date. If you understand what I've just said now, you give yourself a pat on the back that yes, I'm now excelling. Yeah? So let's do that. So let's see how it works. So I will say that I want to check if it's blank. So we have one called function in Excel called isBlank. So what does isBlank do? IsBlank checks whether a particular cell is blank, just like it is. So I want to check if this cell under the exit date column, if it is blank. So I want to check that. So if this is true, so let me do something so that I don't have to be scrolling here and there. Let me just shift my free pane. Excuse me. No, that's not what I want to do. So let me do this instead. I'll just hide these columns. Hide it from here. Control 0. Okay. So I don't need this as well. Control 0. So I come here. So I do equal to if is blank. If the exit date is blank, okay, then it means that the person is still with us in the business. So I do today minus the resumption date, comma, if the exit is not blank, then I want to do exit date minus resumption date. That's all we are doing. That's all we are doing. What have I done just here? So what I'm checking is I want to look at the exit date column. I want to see whether it is blank. If it is blank, it means the person is still with us. So if the person is still with us, the number of days they have spent with us will now be today minus when they joined. If the exit date column is not blank, which means there's a date there, which means that the person has left the business, then how long did they spend with us? It's from when they left minus when they joined us. If I hit enter now, this is what I get. And when I scroll down to this guy that has a date, at this point, this guy here will now use the exit date minus the resumption date. Makes sense? Are we good? Thank you, Mr. Joseph. You want to add comma, go to the Home tab. You see this guy here, comma style, or you use Ctrl+Shift+1. You get it. You do not get it. Let's do it last time. All right. So I come here, equal to if. Want to check first if we have values in the exit date column or not. If you have value there, it means the person has left. If we don't have, it means the person is still with us. So we do is blank of this column. If it's blank, then we want to say that the person is still with us. So today minus when they resumed. If it is not blank, then it should be exit date when they left us minus when they resumed. So that's all we're doing. Super straightforward. So I hit enter. I got this out. So who is already excelling? Who is excelling? Who is excelling? How do you unhide the columns? What do? You have hidden columns. How do you know? You see, it jumped from F to L. So there are hidden columns in between. What you can do is highlight a column to the left of the hidden column and one to the right of the hidden columns. Do a right click and you see unhide. You see on hide and it brings them out. Gift is excelling. Good, 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 good. Precious is now in GSS1. Congratulations, Precious. You need to wear wedding gown. Sorry, graduation gown. The answer is in days or not in month. Yes. So because somebody asked that question, so it was not supposed to be in the month column. It's supposed to be in the days column. Sorry, Glory. Sorry, sorry. It was a slip of tongue or a slip of mouth. I didn't know. I'm not a part to this. All right, so let's conclude. So month in employment, we know the number of days. How can we convert this to month? We know the number of days that we probably can have in a month, maybe 30. So somebody might want to go that route, say, okay, I know the number of days. It's just like saying that you know the number of days in a year, 365. How many months are there? You do 365 divided by 30. That gives you the number of months approximately. So you can do the same thing here. You have the number of days. How do you know the number of months? You can just come here at the back of your formula, do divided by 30, and this gives you approximately the number of months there. All right. But again, Excel has a function that you can use. Excel has a function that you can use. So you can come here. Let me pull that here. Excuse me. How did I get here? Okay. So if I come here, Excel has a function called DATEDIF. Although this DATEDIF has been deprecated, and that's why when you type DATEDIF, you sort of will not see, you would not see IntelliSense come up for it. So, but if you put it an open bracket here, you see that the function is actually still very much available. Excel recognizes it. So, what does DATEDIF do? So it gives you the difference between two dates in whatever format you want the result to be in. Do you want to do you want the result in years? Do you want to know the difference in years? Do you want the difference in month? Do you want the difference in days? So that's what the date div does. So I can say that the date should be the start date should be the resumption. So it has three arguments: start date, end date, and in what format. So start date is the resumption date, end date is today, and in what format do you want to see the difference? You want to see the difference in months. So I just put a bracket, a double quote, and I put a M, double quote. I close the bracket like so. I hit enter, and you see that we actually have 68 months in between. And when we use this, if I come back here, I divide this by 30, you see that we have 69.57. So, which is because of the fact that there probably would have been some months with 31 days in between. So this is what DateDiv does. Let's do it again. Equal to DateDiv, excuse me, equal to DateDiv, and then so the start date is the resumption date, the end date is today, and the format, we want to return the results, we want to know the number of months in between. So M, so if you want to know the number of days in between, you use a D. If you want to know the number of years in between, you use a Y. So I close the brackets like so, I hit enter, and I returned 68. Are we good, everybody? Happiness, where are you confused? 69.57. So it came from the initial calculation. So what I just did was to divide that number of days by 30. That was what I did. Let's take question for the next 5 minutes. And so I leave you to go try out how to calculate when the next work anniversary would be. Take this for instance. If the resumption date was on the 8th of August 2019, it means that their next work anniversary would be on the 8th of August 2025. That's what we're trying to get. So somebody resumed in 2019. Their next work activity anniversary will be in 2025. But how do we now use all of the things that we've learned so far to get that out? So try it out as your assignment, and then hopefully we have a bit of time to quickly review it the next class before we go into the topic for the day. If you have some questions, you can drop it on the chat. And version 2030 does not have it. Yes, it's possible. What does DATEDIF does? DATEDIF, not DATEIF. DATEDIF, it gives you the difference between two dates in whatever format you want it. So if you wanted the difference between two dates in days, so you want to know the number of days between two dates, or you want to know the number of months between 2 months, between two dates, or you want to know the number of years between two dates, then you can use the DATEDIF function. What's the command you use, please, to do what, Esther? 13th of August, not 8. Yes, thank you for that. Labake in Nandi. You belong to nobody, you belong to everybody. You are a Yoruba Igbo. Please redo the DATEDIF. Sorry, Phronesis. You can just rewatch that. Let me take questions. How can I be added to? Okay. Let me see. How do I get the materials? That's not the questions I'm looking for. Anyone has a question? Drop it. We have 2 minutes before we draw the curtain. Where is the column for days? It's hidden. Don't worry, it will be in your own file. What's the command for DATEDIF? So that's the command. Equal to DATEDIF, open the bracket, supply the start date, comma, the end date, comma, the format that you want it returned. So for any function that you don't know what it does, just go to Google, type DATEDIF Excel syntax, and then you get results as to what the function does and some examples from Microsoft. Any other question from anybody? Yes, Bumi, good to know. My version of Excel, I honestly do not know, but I think that it might be this not a recent version on this system. So if I go to account, okay, somehow I think it's 20. So now if you're looking at this version 2108, so what this means is 2021 August. That's the version that this is on, 2021 August. Okay. Is there an alternative to the DATEDIF? I leave you to explore that. Try it. Definitely there are alternatives. There are so many ways to skin a cat. And we've seen some examples like that. But again, it needs you to think deeply about what you want to achieve, and you see how you want to go about it. Sorry, Peter, you might just have to watch the recording again. I just want to pick some question. The days of employment and months in employment are the same. Hope I got the steps. Days of employment and months in employment, they can be the same. So one is days, one is months. So you can't get the same thing. It's not possible. DATEDIF E8 today. Yes, Akin, that's correct. Why can't we do J8 over 13 direct from the month? You can do that, Moses. All right, I think we're good. Thanks again for joining the class for today, everybody. Please do yourself the favor, go through the recording of the class. Even when you feel that you got everything, it will be helpful to go through the recording. I think there's holiday tomorrow, so you can use that to catch up on your learnings. If you miss some part of the learnings, you'll miss some previous sessions, and then we'll prepare for the next session tomorrow evening by God's grace. Thank you, everybody. We'll catch you again tomorrow.